Hey guys, this is Blade Broadcast coming at you with my third official knife review. I don't know if you saw my other videos, but I also reviewed the Kershaw Volt 2 and the Benchmade Mini-Axis Striker knife. As I said in the Mini-Axis Striker review, my next review is going to be on the Spyderco 2nd Generation Manix 2. That is model number C101 G2. So, like usual, like I have the last two reviews, I'm just going to start off by giving you the general specifications of the knife and then going into the specifics. So, the overall length of the knife is 8 inches. The blade length is 3.375 inches. And of that, the cutting edge is 2.88 inches. The blade thickness is 0.125 inches. The blade material is CPM S30V, as you can see printed on the blade there. The blade shape is it's a leaf-shaped blade, very characteristic of many Spyderco knives. It is a full flat ground knife. I have the satin finished version. I believe it's available on a black coated version as well. I also have the non-serrated version, which is usually and pretty much always what I go for in a folding knife. The handle material is G-10. There are stainless steel liners in the knife that are not skeletonized. And the weight on the knife is 5 ounces. So now I will go into the general characteristics of the knife. And I might make this review in 2 parts. I don't know. I'm going to try to go fast here, but I might have to end up doing 2 parts. So, the blade length, as said before, is 3.375 inches. It is a leaf-shaped blade, which I actually like for a lot of cutting tasks. I don't think it has quite as much belly as a drop point blade does. But that said, I think the tip is a lot more precise, so if you're doing a lot of precision work with the tip of your knife, a leaf-shaped blade might be good for you, especially since it does have some belly for slicing. The finish, this is a satin finished blade. There are kind of some vertical markings on the blade. I think that's pretty standard with a lot of Spyderco satin finished blades. Doesn't really bother me. I actually think it looks kind of cool. Yeah, those are on the blade. There are no serrations. As I said, I prefer the plain edge. It is CPM S30V steel, which is pretty much a premium knife steel. It is a crucible metals steel, so the steel is blasted into a lot of tiny little droplets that harden very quickly, so there's or they cool and harden very quickly, so there's really no time for the components of the steel to segregate out, which is a problem with with steels that are not made this way. And there is on the blade, I believe I mentioned this in the Mini-Axis Striker review, freaking awesome jimping. This is the best jimping I have ever felt on a knife, folding or fixed blade. It is sharp, it is small, it is pointed. There was no attempt to round the jimping. It's up on the top of the blade here, and on this bottom choil here. I mean, when you get this knife in hand and you really dig into that jimping, there is no way it is going to leave your hand. This is freaking awesome jimping. And you can also lock into the deployment hole if you want, and you're using the knife this way. So the traction, at least on the blade of the knife, is pretty awesome. And the factory edge, oh my gosh, the factory edge on this knife was freaking awesome. I don't think I'm going to do this in a lot of reviews, but I'm actually going to grab a piece of paper here and demo the sharpness, just because it is so freaking awesome. So let me run 2 feet behind me to my desk and grab a piece of paper for you guys. Okay, here we go. Piece of paper, knife, this is just a freaking awesome edge. I mean, I'd have to try to make it grab. And look at how small of shavings of paper you can do with this blade. This is a freaking awesome factory edge. So that is a great point on the knife. So now to the lock. It is a ball bearing lock. It's ambidextrous, so that's great if you're a lefty. Also with the thumb hole, that's obviously ambidextrous. It is not quite as easy to actuate as the Benchmade Axis lock. So for that reason, I do prefer the Benchmade Axis lock over this ball bearing lock. However, this is, I believe, an extremely strong lock, and I detect no blade play side to side or up and down. The pivot screw it came this way. It came completely no blade play. I was playing with it a lot though. The pivot screw loosened up a bit, and there was a little bit, but I just tightened it right back up, and now there's no blade play. It's a very strong lock. I think it'll be a very durable lock. I believe Spyderco says it is self-wearing, so that's good. It's going to be durable that way. And as you can see, there's no stop pin. It's pretty much a freaking stop bar here. So the blade's not going to be coming back this way at all in this direction. I don't think you have any problems with that. The deployment, it is a thumb hole deployment, as I said before, and it's not as fast deploying as the Benchmade I reviewed. I can get a deployment just with thumb tension, but it takes a little bit. But if you get just a good wrist action, the knife just flies out. You can do it with on the opposite side too, like that, and flick it out like that. So this knife does deploy very fast. I believe there are, actually I'm not sure if there are phosphorus bronze washers in this knife. I can't really see, but there's no problem with the deployment system. The blade retention is better than the Benchmade I reviewed. It's very good blade retention. You can flick it out if you want to. And the blade centering is pretty much perfect. As you can see here, towards the side I have the clip on, it's a little bit favoring that side, but it's not even close to rubbing the liner. And the pivot screw is on both sides, so I'm sure you could. And I probably will try to fix that, but it's definitely okay aesthetically and functionally. So the handle, the handle material is G-10. It's not as high traction as the G-10 on this knife, the Benchmade Mini Axis Striker that I reviewed. It's not as high traction as this G-10, but it is certainly higher traction than the FRN on the Kershaw Volt that I reviewed. So I am happy with the handle material, and especially with the jimping that this knife has, and also this double choil you can lock up here, or if you really want to choke up on the blade, you can go here, and just how it kind of fits the curvature of the hand. I have no problems with this handle material. I actually think higher traction G10 might even be a little bit of overkill. I don't know if I'd actually like it in this knife. I don't know why. I just don't think I would. And actually these, I believe Spyderco calls them proud liners. These actually, for me, they do give my hand some traction. They're here as well. This knife could go into reverse grip if you wanted to. I don't think you'd run out of room. And I think the bottom of this knife, would make a great striking weapon as well. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I do think this knife would be a great everyday carry knife. Usually I prefer blades under 3 inches for EDC, and also I think this could even be a self-defense knife because of the traction and relative blade length it gives you. There's no under the clip issues with this knife because it is not quite as high traction G10, and with this clip, like my Benchmade Mini Axis Striker, it is floating above the handle a little bit. As you can hear when I tap it, you can hear it tapping against the handle. That's not a big deal. I might try to put more tension in it. The clip is swappable for tip-up carry, which I prefer only, left and right. So again, that's great if you're a lefty. This knife is pretty much fully ambidextrous. The handle is partially flow-through constructed because there is this back stainless, I don't know if it's stainless steel, but there's this metal bar here. I think that's necessary to protect the locking mechanism, though, so there is, you don't get too much gunk in that spring, because it's not an Omega spring like the Benchmade Axis lock. It is like a cylindrical spring, so I think that's necessary. And then you have down here an awesome lanyard pipe. You're not going to have any trouble, I don't think, getting hollowed out 550 cord through there, or maybe even not hollowed out 550 cord. So that's an awesome lanyard pipe. The liners are non-skeletonized. I'd like to see them skeletonized. I think you could probably save even up to close to maybe even half an ounce off this knife, making it a 4.5 ounce knife if they skeletonized those liners. But that said, they do make the knife feel very solid in hand, and it's not too big of a downside for me that they're not skeletonized. Let me go back to the clip. It is polished, which I think goes great with just the overall looks of this knife, the satin finished blade. I think if I had the black version, I would want this clip to be a black clip, but on the satin finished blade, I love the polished clip. It carries deep enough. I think, I don't know, I would say I prefer Spyderco's wire clip on this knife, but that's not a huge deal. You're going to have about that in this direction, you're going to have about that much sticking out of pocket. So that's cool. It's got the Spyderco logo on it. The shape is fine, I don't mind it. So as I said before, you can put it for tip-up carry on the left or the right side. And by the way, everything on this knife is Torx, so you can take it all apart. The pivot screw, the screws on the handle here, and for the clip, it's all Torx screws. So the clip is fine. I do think, despite the fact that it's not, I don't think you're going to break this clip. I think it's hefty enough. And as I said, I think I said this, I don't really have under the clip issues with this knife because the handle material isn't too aggressive and the clip isn't too strong. So that is my review of the Spyderco Manix 2 knife. This knife is just so fun to play with. It's a very functional blade, great blade steel, and get this, it's USA made too. It's made in Golden, Colorado. Designed by Eric Glesser. On Blade HQ, this knife is out of stock right now, but as of the posting of this video, March 1st, 2015, this knife is $93 on Blade HQ. So for $93, you're getting a US-produced Spyderco with S30V blade steel and G-10 handle scales. To me, that's a pretty awesome deal. So this is the Blade Broadcast review of the second generation Spyderco Manix 2 knife. See ya.